We're dealing with a lot of methamphetamine.
How would you describe your life?
Chaos.
Ah.
Yeah. My head felt like it was getting cooked, and he's just full of rage and full of, you're on fire.
Once they get to that rawness core of who they are and what's happened, then you start to install health and well-being.
Tēnā rā koutou katoa, nau mai huri mai ki, ka huri te tai.
Where we look at the effects of methamphetamine on the farm.
Watching services come through, I wish that I had that.
This is the first time I've actually been able to have control of my life.
I need to do something. I can't just let my nephews and nieces suffer, you know.
Kia ora rā tātou katoa, tēnei te mihi kia koutou e huri mai ni I tēnei wā. Our podcast, hosted by myself, Pio and Nix. Kia ora, Nix. How are you, Nix? But our mangahiri is Jacquii Hessell, did you say? Did I say that right?
Yep.
Oh, man, I had to ask again and show everybody I couldn't remember. Tēnā koe, Jacquii. Thanks for being here. We're just going to find out a little bit about what you do. So you work within Whatuora?
Yep.
Yeah, and tō mahi reira, your mahi there?
So I work as a clinical team manager, so I look after all the secondary health services in the mid-north, which is kind of from Kaikohikohi to Kirikiri. We kind of run right up the coast from Rāwhiti, right up to Totara North, shoot across to Mangamuka, go up to the Hokianga, Pawarenga, Pangaru, come back down to Opanoni, and then we shoot back to Kaikohe, out to Awarua, and then we come straight back around Matawaia, Mototo, Tōwai is our cut-off point, and then back up to Rāwhiti, and then everything in the middle of that, and all those towns are us.
So what's your actual job?
I manage all the teams, so
wow, that's huge.
So we have like mental health and addiction, so general adult mental health services, so crisis team, psychiatry of older people, an addiction team, a CAMS team, so child adolescent mental health services, and we have a subacute unit in there too.
And how long have you been in that space?
Oh, too long.
Well, it must be hugely demanding.
Oh, yeah, no, I was going to say it's the worst year we've had is this year.
Oh, okay.
So I've been working I've been in the sector about 35 years, but worked in this role for 9 years. Yeah, bang on 9 years this month.
Well, why was this year
The worst.
the worst?
I think the acuity of whānau, like the illness, the demand on service. So we got 12 nurses and we've got 450 patients.
Wow.
Sitting there with one full-time consultant. We've got another second consultant, psychiatrist. And so we're carrying all of that plus anything that walks through the door. That's just mental health. And then we have addictions where we're sitting around 180, 200. And CAMS are sitting about 150. So, so it's been a hard year, I think. And I've been kind of blabbering on about it a bit lately, but I think, we saw meth coming, for years, we've seen it come. And I've got a background in rehab. I'm an AOD practitioner by trade. It's my background. Everyone thinks you're a nurse when you're a manager in health, but I'm not. I'm a AOD practitioner.
What's AOD, sorry? Alcohol and drugs.
Alcohol and drug, yeah. So I'm an alcohol and drug counsellor, whatever.
Yeah.
And so we've seen this thing coming at us for a long time and, worked with it. And I think it's kind of like now it's just imploding and it's impacting. So if I think about our mental health, because a lot of people say, it's a drain on the police services and this and that. And I'm like, I was going to swear there, sorry.
You can.
I was thinking, fuck no, it's everything we see now in mental health at that kind of high acuity level.
Yeah.
We're dealing with, honestly, and I was saying this to our psychiatrist the other day, we're dealing 80 to 85% of the presentations we see on call. So this is the police calling us, Edie calling us,
Yeah.
whānau calling us,
Yeah.
are people who are either psychotic because they've been on meth, or they've relapsed because they've touched meth, and other drugs, but
Yeah.
mainly methamphetamine. They fill up our subacute units. So we've got 6 beds for the whole of the Mid-North, and those beds
Six
always full.
beds?
6 beds. And these are subacute, so they can still walk off if they like. And our inpatient unit is full of people who are in meth psychosis. And so it kind of, people think we just deal with schizophrenics and people with bipolar. Yeah, we kind of do, but we're dealing with a lot of methamphetamine related presentations, and it's bleeding us out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bleeding us out, and we're exhausted.
That's a really strong term, but it's really clear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Bleeding us out. It's crippling our communities, eh?
Yeah, and I don't think we're designed for it yet. Like we haven't caught up.
Yeah.
I always say, and I was talking to Yvonne Tahana the other day, and I was because I was saying to her, addictions are like the poor, the mental health is the poor cousin of health, and then addictions is the poor cousin of the poor cousin. We're right down there.
Yeah,
who cares about
yeah.
addictions, and I think a lot of people don't understand what people who work in addictions do, and but we can no longer work in isolation. So mental health, they keep it really medical modelled and kind of just focusing on the psychosis and stuff like that. But you can't do that. You've got to think about the addiction and all those kind of social factors and everything around it. And you need someone who specialises in that to support our nurses. We got some really cool nurses in my team. And we kind of, because I'm an AOD practitioner, I kind of insist we work together. So AOD practitioners go out on call and with our nurses, and our nurses are grateful because they because AOD clinicians can see things that nurses don't look for. And pick up on all the behaviours, and then know how to kind of bring people down, know what medications they need, and they can talk to the consultants. So we've got to catch up on ourselves. We don't have proper detox facilities. Like, you don't want to send someone who's on, who's coming down off meth to the inpatient unit because they're just going to rack up everyone down there. You need somewhere to stabilise them because it's going to be quick once they come down, hopefully. They haven't frittered themselves too much. But you need somewhere for that to happen, not mix them up with someone who's in there with, depression and they're suicidal, and then you got this kind of fritter coming in the door and they just demolish the place. And so we're not set up yet. No one's set up, and I think we're in a bit of a denial about that. I think as a society or community or people who hold the purse strings got to recognise that, you're in denial. You really need to address meth, not as a, health promotion thing. You actually need to address it at that kind of pointy end and do some really good shit about it, stuff that matters, and come and talk to those that work on the front line that will tell you what we need. Because, sometimes we're just left holding the baby who's this person who's talking to Jesus or someone or wanting to take themselves out, and we got nowhere to take people to bring them down and maintain their mana while you're doing that.
What exactly is needed?
Like I say, a safe space with people who know what they're looking for to bring them down. You need a whole range of people. Like, you need those clinical eyes. People can see that stuff, where they're at in terms of a come down or how high up they are to keep them safe. You need to have access to doctors who can, because people might poo-hoo medication at times, but sometimes you need medication to just bring them down before they do something really drastic. So having, doctors with that, having those really good support workers or peer support who can reach in there, when they're telling us all to fuck off, I'm fucking talking to no doctor or whatever.
Yeah.
You need someone who can say, come on, bro, that's us, I've been there, I know where you're at, so it's a altogether approach that's needed, but we need a place to do that. Like we've got a detox unit in Dargaville. I think we've got 12 beds there. That's for the whole region. You got to book in. There's a wait list, and so if you're on call, you got this fella you need to bring down pretty quick. You ain't taking them to the detox unit, so they, by default in some ways, because they are psychotic and that's a mental health issue, we end up taking them to the inpatient unit, and it's not where they want to be, not for the staff down there. They're already under pressure. You got unwell people down there. But you need someone down there, then you need to pathway them out of there. And that's the other part we need. We need really good pathways out so people actually connect, not like, okay, he's stable now, we're going to kick him home.
Yeah.
So you're kicking him home to the same old shit.
Yeah.
And no one's got time to contact, same environment. So there's a whole range of things we need on that continuum, to kind of get people through. And, with addiction, the people's readiness is when they're ready.
Yeah.
And you don't know when anybody's, rock bottom is, because only they can call rock bottom, not me, you, anyone.
Yeah, sure.
But, you've got to be able to offer up something all the time. And then the other big part I think we really negate is our whānau that have to hold this shit with them. When I'm talking nannies and koros and the kids, we were talking about that last night at our hui, and those mokapuna who just have to put up with the shit, and they've had to grow up and be the parents of these these adults. We need more for them. We need more for our pakeke who are carrying the load, and then got their kids ringing up going, there's some money.
Yes.
All that stuff. And it's common, it's so common, but who's supporting them? Who's supporting those pakeke too? So there's a whole range of things we need.
And it just feels like society is ignoring these people. It feels like the people who need to invest, our government leaders and stuff, it's all about giving you the tools to do the job. It feels really lonely just you talking about it. I'm going, man, what a lonely place to sit. Because it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel, especially if you're playing catch-up footy, sort of thing. Really, really tough.
Yeah.
Is that denial you were talking?
Yeah, everyone's in denial, that we've all got a meth problem.
Yeah.
Because it is. We've all got a meth problem because it reaches in everywhere, and like I say, it's we're at a point, like, that's at mahi, it's like, man, we just holding on because we have to, it's our job, but we give a shit too.
Yeah, totally.
We give a shit.
You wouldn't last if you didn't.
Nah. And I mean, we get a lot of backlash, like, you fellas don't do fuck all, this because of yous, and it's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But you get, that just kind of goes over your head now, because it's kind of like you don't know what we do.
No, ignorance, say.
Yeah. So, and you understand their frustration too, but there's just not enough. There's not enough capacity in the community to do the things we do, and then or we need to do. And I think, we have to look at things a lot differently too. There's a whole range of things we want to do differently, but we just again don't have capacity. We're just stamping out fires all the time.
Yeah.
But I think there's a whole range of things we could do differently.
Yeah, if you were supported.
Well equipped.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's mind-boggling, really. And Northland's getting hit hard, eh?
Yeah. And you always think about, we all know this shit about, you go to Kaikohe and, there's no jobs. There's jobs for people who've got got some education and stuff like that, but, you know, if you've been arrested by the police a couple of times or whatever, you know, it's going to be really hard to get a job. Or you got to come to Moriwa down to AFCO.
Yeah.
You've got to have a vehicle to get there, you know, and then you don't know if you're going in the healthiest environment down there either.
Yeah.
You know, plenty of deals going on down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, you know, the education system, you know, hasn't been set up for our whānau, so people are falling through those cracks, and it's gotten better, yeah, but, you know, but you've still got all that kind of trauma going on in our community, and so there's always fallout, and our whānau are falling out. I mean, there's a lot of awesome mahi going on, I think, in the
we know.
community.
Yeah. There's some awesome people at the cliff face, man.
Yeah. And you know, but again, that's the same, like, there are only one or two, you know, or, you know, there's you need an army, really, and I think the army is the community, but people have to wake up and say, well, what can we do? How can we help out? And how do I bring my skills in there? And, you know, because we all got skills.
Totally.
We all got skills, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, mind-blowing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think about how can, even if the community's listening to this, what can they do to be a part of the solution?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's about just, you know, not, you know, don't blame, don't talk, don't wait. Like there were in our hui last night, someone said, oh, you know, we need, and I was getting a bit pissed off, but oh, you know, we need someone to tell us, you know, like tell us we have to work together and we need to do this and we need to talk to this, or we need a runanga or someone to do that. And I thought, oh, fuck no.
Yeah.
You know, what do you need? Why are we so dependent on that? You know, so there's this huge dependency of us being told, we need to be told what to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, like for me as a, you know, as a practitioner, so as in my training in my life, whether it was kaupapa Māori training or even university training, is, you know, the one thing I learned in my life is that the only thing you own in your life is your practice. You don't own the car you drive. You don't own the pen you hold. That belongs to Te Whatu Ora Ngāti Hine or whoever you're working for. You own your practice. So if your ethics, your code of ethics or code of practice or your good tikana that your nanny and koro taught you was just get up, go over there, introduce yourself, do some whakawhanaungatanga and say, how can I help here? Or can we do this together? Go across the road and do that. Take that initiative. You don't need anyone, but I think as a community, we've become beholden to that thinking, you know, that we need someone to lead that out.
Direct.
But it's like, nah, deep whānau and, you know, just walk across and say, hey, I'm doing this and doing that. How can we do this? I've seen what you're doing. That's cool. I could add this. And I think we just got to stop waiting for permission from someone, and that's what I was thinking last night. Who are you waiting for? You know, who do you need permission from? You know, we don't. It needs to come from that real, like I was saying, you know, those real tikana that our nannies and koros taught us, say about, you know, you
something
to
needs
get in
to
there.
be done. Let's go and do it.
Go and do it. Show up and do it.
Yeah. And sometimes I think people have that, and I can understand that. Oh, you know, that's. I support you, and you fellas are doing a good job, but you're still doing it from a distance, eh?
Yeah.
And you're not really bringing yourself to the table in our communities, eh?
Yeah.
Man, and I think about, you know, one of the questions I keep asking myself as I age is, what put us here? What got us to this space? Why do we as Māori register so poorly in education and health and all those things? Now, I know the answers to that, and they're not excuses either. And this is one of the things that comes from poverty, that comes from disadvantage, that comes from institutional racism, all those things, which a lot of our treaty partners are sick of hearing, but it's actually true. It is true.
Yeah.
It is true. You don't know how to walk in my shoes, and I was a privileged Māori boy with a solid upbringing by my parents, you know. They've no idea. So what's my point? Don't judge. Don't judge until you know. You know, and when our people really know the story, I think they're more inclined to say, oh man, I need to pitch in.
Yeah, well, I think with all of that as well, I mean, how long do we sit and wait for somebody to come and save the day? Like, is it
Yeah.
possible for the community to come together and put in the mahi to do that fixing, as opposed to sitting and waiting for, you know, that direction and things like that?
Are you aware of societies, maybe overseas or stuff, who have had similar? Because a lot of our Indigenous First Nations problems are mirrored globally. Have there been any examples that you guys know of that have helped conquer this hātana?
It's hard, because I've done a bit of travel and I've got some good friends over in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And gone over to like I went back.
So the Indians.
Yeah.
Indians,
So I went back over there a couple of years ago, and I've been back there, and I've been there like 15 years ago, and I went to stay with a good friend of mine, and she stays on a reservation, and the fentanyl problem is, really hard hitting there. So, everyone's kind of like waiting and, bracing themselves for the fentanyl to hit Aotearoa. And it was really, really sad to, like over there, like it was like zombie land,
Yeah, they'd just bent over and
dying on the street, just, on a daily, and on the reservation, well, I was only there for 5 days, I think, and during that period, well, the day I arrived, they were burying someone, and it was a 56-year-old that they were burying him. His mother found him upstairs, he'd OD'd. And then they were telling me they just finished burying a niece who, she was 14, and then the week before there was a 20-something-year-old, and I'm thinking, Jesus, like, fuck,
Yeah.
And it was really sad, and I was talking to Gail, and I was saying to her, oh, far out, and what she, she was saying to me, Jacquii, what are you doing over there? So
Right.
they look to Māori for
Yes.
solutions,
And I've heard this before too,
Yeah.
not just within this space,
Yeah.
in a real space,
They're looking to us, and, so I've said to her, well, I don't know, I could come over and do a sabbatical and hang out with you.
Yeah.
I don't know, we can try and do something, because one thing I do pick up though in the kōrero from her, and then there was another fire over in Hawaii that we had connected with, and we all know the answers lie within, within our culture, and so we're talking about how we get our whānau back, bring them back, sway them back, and I was thinking about that, like, quite a few years ago, before I came to Te Whatu Ora, I worked for Ngāti Hine, and, it was kind of the best mahi. I really enjoyed working at Ngāti Hine Rehab, and we used to take our whānau and we'd hikoi them up in the, out in the ngahere, and they would stay out there, and we would stay in the bush, and we would do rongo, and we would have the tohona there, and we would take them up to, up to the Cape, up to Rerenga Wairua, and help them release stuff. And, we do all these, we'd laugh, and we'd sit here, and we'd
cry
carry on
and
and
laugh.
cry,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
good cry. And, and we were on marae all the time, and learning tikana, and they did those rituals on a daily. And, and that stuff really worked. It really worked. And I don't know, something changed, it was like, I left there, a few of us left, and then those programs kind of got pushed to the side, and then, and I think about it, because the biggest thing that we knew that worked for our whānau, there was all that using te taiao, but it was ko ai au, who am I?
Yeah.
Getting to the core of who they are,
Identity.
and their identity, and dealing with their trauma, and so for a lot of us it was about going to get those skills that, that help them to, dig deep with trauma. Because if they don't, they're going to come back and back and back. And sometimes they weren't ready, and that's kei te pai. But you kept that because you had that strong connection or whakawhanangatanga with them, is that they would come back and say, oh, hey, Jax, do you know anyone who can do some counselling or that? Because they knew, there was something missed. And so you would go in there, or you'd get someone to, refer them to someone you trusted. And so, the other thing I think, like, I get really big on is pushing our whānau, our Māori whānau through training around, getting them trained as therapists. And I love them all to be doctors. We're like our own doctors, our own therapists, psychotherapists, or people with those skills, like our cultural skills, then they're all blended because they need everything. They need all of that. They need good role models. They need therapy. They need, and these are their voices that I'm kind of using here, is that they need these things to be able to recover.
Yeah.
And then they need some people who's going to kick ass.
Yeah.
So we become the aunties who kick their asses and, like, oh, you fucked up again. Like that kind of stuff. But, they need that, and they say that, I come to you because I know I'll get a growling, and I need a growling.
Yeah, but when you growl somebody, they know there's actually somebody in their life that cares.
Yeah.
And quite often they've never had that.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm going to get a growling, but at least she's there or he's there and I can go to them and they actually give a shit about me.
Yeah.
And it's a respect thing as well. Not
right.
anyone can growl you, but if you respect them, then you're taking on board what they're saying.
Yeah.
As constructive critics. They only want the best for me, and that's why they're going to keep me in line.
Yeah.
But there has to be, you said, the 3 R's.
Yeah. Rules without relationships lead to rebellion, and it's a true kaupapa. Aha koe he kōrero Pākehā, I te kāne e nā kōrero, I don't know how I feel after meeting you, and I say that with the utmost respect because I know you're highly qualified in your field, but there's a real sadness.
Yeah.
Because, I'm naive. I want people to listen to this, even because there'd be a lot of people like me who don't know. And who are proud Māori, who, and my message to our whānau out there is, don't judge, try and bring something to the table. We can't let this beat us. Go and vote.
Go and vote. God, go and vote.
Go and vote so we stick the right people in the chair so they can make decisions to help people who are in your chair.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting there, bloody hōhā moaning away, we can't. We gotta be at the table and play the game, eh? Yeah. Wow. We've run out of time.
Ka pai.
Engari, e mihi ana kia koe te rangatira mō o mahi rangatira. Yeah, just lovely to meet you, even though your story, is a little dark. It's also inspirational to know that you're still there and doing what you and your team, your huge team. I can't get the 6 beds and the 12 nurses out of my head, eh?
Yeah, for sure.
But again, on behalf of both of us, ngā mihi kia koe, kia ora.
Kia ora kōrua.